Thank you for joining us for WorkGrid's webinar today, Digital Workplace Trends of 2021, Understanding the New Trends and Technologies that are Reshaping the Workplace and the Way We Work. We have a really great webinar for you all today. What we've done is we've gathered together a group of panelists, experts who have extensive experience in realms of digital workplace, employee experience, to talk about the trends that will drive digital workplace success in 2021 and beyond. Our panelists include our very own Brett Calden, WorkGrid CEO, Jillian McCann, WorkGrid's Chief Technology Officer, and Melanie Foley, Executive Vice President and Chief Talent Officer of Liberty Mutual Insurance. For today's agenda, we will begin by discussing the state of the digital workplace and the market drivers that will shape the digital workplace transformation this year. We'll then hear perspectives with Brett on how organizations need to bring more focus on productivity and wellness to their digital workplace strategies. We'll speak with Melanie on the strategic partnership between IT and HR and how that partnership needs to grow even stronger this year. And the third trend we'll cover with Jillian is the modern technology needed to accelerate digital transformation. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. I think we can all agree the digital workplace has moved from a nice to have to a must have status. And there's no question the pandemic amplified the focus on the importance of the digital workplace. But I think what many businesses didn't know, however, was that the pandemic would force their hand, making it imperative to quickly scale solutions to deliver the seamless experiences just to keep their business running during a time of tremendous change and uncertainty. And now let's face it, there's definitely a spotlight on what's working and what is not working. What we saw was organizations were able to undergo the massive undertaking of getting their entire workforces up, running, and functioning remotely, virtually overnight. The digital workplace was advanced by decades in a matter of weeks, which was certainly a feat of massive scale that was handled with impressive speed. In fact, according to a study by Microsoft, companies worldwide spent $34.6 billion on cloud services, which is the equivalent of 2 years worth of digital transformation in just 2 months. And I think, for many companies, that status shows 2 years, but that could have been 5, 10 years even for some companies. But with everything shifting to digital, forcing the rapid deployment of digital tools, today's digital workplace for most companies is more fragmented and complex than ever before. Not only, do we have more digital tools and resources to manage, we actually most likely as well probably carried over some historic challenges. The typical organization of today is most likely dealing with systems, data, and communications that are being maintained in silos that make it hard for employees to be productive, to share knowledge, and maintain that sense of culture. Applications are being purchased in a decentralized manner, makes it almost impossible to achieve a strategic vision for the digital workplace. And there's most likely a lack of cross-departmental collaboration within organizations. This, coupled with no formal ownership of the digital workplace experience, makes it next to impossible to achieve the modern next-level workplace experiences our employees deserve. These challenges now, they weren't caused by the pandemic, but they certainly have become bigger challenges. And I think if you think about it for a second, most companies, I think is safe to put our bets that you rolled out some type of software during the pandemic. But today, everything we do is conducted through a digital channel, right? Every conversation, every piece of knowledge you consume is done through a digital first experience. You no longer just absorb knowledge sitting at your desk because you hear something from what someone says from another department. And you can't just spin around your chair and quickly ask someone a question. You have to schedule a meeting or send a message on Slack or whatever type of tool you use to connect with other employees. And this experience is harmful for many employees' well-being. The good news is, though, here we are today, about a year later, it really presents an opportunity to understand the nature of work itself and the opportunity to make a change and create a digital workplace experience for our employees that offers the needs and benefits. So, what's the formula for success? And what new trends and technologies are reshaping the digital workplace? And that's what we're here to discuss today. Trend number one is reimagining your internet and digital workplace as a productivity hub. For trend number one, I had the great opportunity to sit down with Brett Calden, the CEO of WorkGrid Software, and discuss how organizations should be looking at their internet and their digital workplace strategies and really start thinking about how they can focus on helping employees be more productive.
Hey, Brett.
Hi, Janine.
Thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
I'm looking forward to talking to you today about the digital workplace trends for the digital workplace in 2021 and beyond. And I think, there's a lot of changes that are happening with the digital workplace. And I think one of the things that highlights those changes is the fact that what each organization calls or thinks of their digital workplace also seems to be changing constantly.
Yeah, you're right, Janine. Some organizations consider, their intranet to be effectively their digital workplace. And what we've seen, leading up to this year, certainly in the trends, is that the digital workplace is much broader. We even hear from some customers looking to create a digital headquarters, if you will, right? But regardless of what you call it, it's a much broader landscape that encompasses a lot more than just the core internet technologies with communications and sort of those engagement aspects that we've talked about in the past. It gets much broader, including productivity and even where you reach your customer. There's no question that having an effective digital workplace has become table stakes. I think with everything that's happened, certainly with the pandemic and the remote work aspect, in many cases, the digital workplace is really the only workplace some employees have. And I think what you're going to see is that's going to continue. Going back to work is not going to be the same as it is today. And it's got to be approached correctly because a lot of these digital touch points and how they interact and be productive, employers are going to have the tools and experience they need to be successful. And I also think it'll be critically important for organizations to create their digital workplace with a focus on productivity, thinking beyond the communication channels and the typical things of their intranet, what they consider the digital workplace before, as a need to look at it more as a productivity hub that is creating experiences that unite all these technologies and these touch points that employees now have even elevated with their digital connections that allows and enables employees to interact seamlessly with technology. So, the trend is a modern digital workplace is more than simply offering employees a handful of different links to systems they need. It's allowing them to, act in the moment and have a seamless, unified experience that makes sense across all of this technology.
I agree, Brett. I think productivity and wellness are two very large trends we're seeing in the digital workplace. And even before the pandemic, well-being was on the rising. In fact, it was top ranked. There was a survey done by Deloitte in their 2020 Global Human Capital Trends study, and it showed that 80% of respondents identified it as important or very important to their organization's success. And it makes sense, right? I think most organizations understand that vital connection between well-being and productivity. And it goes well beyond helping workers feel their best, but also ensuring they're equipped with the right tools and technology to perform their best, which, it directly relates to the digital work environment that we're providing for our employees, ensuring they have an engaging work experience and are able to be productive. Could you share your thoughts, Brett, on the criteria that will be key to success in supporting the employee experience?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, what you're seeing is an ultimate need for integrated digital experience. So not this siloed experience that employees typically have, whether it's done by the silos within an organization to satisfy sort of the business needs. So to begin with, a digital workplace should provide employees with a centralized location for accessing all of their key transactions, for things like approvals, for things like information, and make it easier for them to find things that's relevant. The typical workforce we tend to see loses a ton of productivity every single day, just searching around, logging in and out of different systems. They need to get their jobs done. But having many disparate backend systems doesn't have to mean that the user experience needs to be fragmented on the front end for the user. And we're seeing that a lot in the industry trends and a lot of the analysts speaking in the terms that employee experience layer needs to be something that needs to be forefront for the employee. The more that digital workplace consolidate those resources into a single location, the faster workers can do what they need to do and get to focusing really on what the high value work that drives value for the business and not a lot of this wasted time sort of navigating the enterprise. I will say though, one size does not fit all employees. Every employee has different needs. You've heard about employee journey maps and personas. So there's a difference in who the employee is, but also the channel they like to connect with, or even experience digital. So it doesn't suggest that there's sort of a one size fits all solution to this. I think it needs to be, meeting the employee where they are. These resources have to be centralized where employees can find them, and they're going to be different for every employee in every location and every circumstance. So for every employee you have in your organization, there's going to be a different preference for how they choose to work. That's why, when you talk about the trending in digital workplace strategy, it needs to have multiple ways for employee to interact. An entry point that can accommodate different user habits, work scenarios. Some users may find it useful to have everything consolidated right into your intranet, while others may not navigate to the intranet that much. You look at frontline workers who don't have access to sort of a lot of the back end type things that you would if you were a desk worker. So you need to think about what those interfaces look like. Some users will need to access their digital workplace from mobile. Others may not leverage mobile at all. So there's a mix of sort of this continuity of how employees interact with technology that needs to be accounted for. So you really want to be thinking about, implementing digital solutions that have breadth. And you may spend a lot of the time in a workstream collaboration tool like Slack or Microsoft Teams, where you may want to consider integrating a stream of information and notifications there as well.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, Brett. Every workforce is diverse, so an integrated digital workplace with flexible entry points to access information based on an employee's needs will be important as we evaluate the success in the long run. Any other criteria you feel will be critical?
Yeah, I think the real big key as we move forward is these digital experience especially, need to be personalized. The modern digital workplace will also need to be, it needs to be in context for the employee, if you will. We experience this ourselves. We get overwhelmed with email, notifications flooding our inbox. The information that we tend to see in the enterprise tends to be not really pertinent to me, but more larger based communication campaigns and things like that. So you really got to make things relevant to the employee more so. So it's actually, what we're putting in front of them to either transact or the information they're getting is really meaningful to them. If we don't do that, we tend to tune it out, and then everything gets ignored. Important information that we need gets missed. Organizations are really sitting on a ton of data about their employees that they don't execute to the highest potential. We have information about our employees that could facilitate some of these things with just more pointed content or automation that we just don't leverage. So, I think just the right information to the right employee at the right time, how effectively they can use that data to create a personalized experience for employees will have a big impact on the effectiveness of the digital workplace in the coming year. And I think you're starting to see that in a lot of the trending as well. The reality of it is the digital workplace needs to be about the experience. It all comes down to how the employee experiences your digital touch points. So an effective digital workplace is one that focuses on the employee experience. And that's where employees' digital interactions at work are personalized, timely, intuitive as their everyday lives. We see this, right, in our consumer experiences. It's really driving some of that to the enterprise as well. So putting employees at the center, putting employees at the forefront of the experience and delivering a digital work experience that simplifies the workday for employees. And not only that, helps them become more productive and engaged. High quality UX for employees is critical to employee productivity. You kind of see this in the enterprise too, whereas the fragmentation of the piece and 30 different systems, 30 different user experiences. Quote from Gartner here was, user experience is increasingly important to employee productivity and engagement, but many companies fall short of providing high quality UX to employees. And I think that's really the difference. Making it simple for them to transact across this topography is paramount. This doesn't mean you don't have to leverage your current investments. You really want to be doing that. You want to leverage the investments you made already in your technology. What you really want to focus on is recreating the experience, bringing that forefront and making that, an experience type layer that allows you to play with all these systems. Now, to achieve this, you don't need to run out and start purchasing a dozen new systems. In fact, you can leverage and take full advantage of the resources you already have in place and those investments you've made in core enterprise systems like HCM, procurement, time management, and so on. A lot of time and money has been spent on those technologies already, and they're actually working well for the business and the silos and things that are supporting, whether it be, again, those back office support model or any of those type of more pointed business solutions. They're best in class, and your business relies on them to operate at peak efficiency. But let's be honest, individually, from the user perspective, those systems don't always offer the best user experience for the employees. They're great for the power users, which is a small number of users who actually are in there 24/7, and it's part of their job. It's really core to their function. But we push a lot of that employee experience aspects of those core business systems onto the end user, in a very fragmented way. For average employees just need them occasionally to complete a simple task, they can be frustrating and time consuming also to interact with. And this is something that's been building up over time. It's kind of a long-standing challenge that most organizations face and now kind of have to deal with. But in dealing with this, you can build a digital workplace that creates an abstraction layer that insulates workers from the complexity of all of that. Really focusing on what those moments of truth are in their digital interactions. That way power users are still taking advantage of fully what you invested in, while everyone else has a single location for the specific functionality they need for just their situation.
That's a really great perspective, Brett. I really like some of the insights you've mentioned about recreating the experience and how we can achieve some of these modern experiences that employees need that will really help deliver the value to employees and the business by leveraging the existing technologies we have in place today. Thank you again very much for sharing these insights with us today.
Well, thank you, Jean. Happy to be here.
All right. That was a great perspective from Brett. And I think what is important to take away is, in order to make applications and systems easier and more effective to use for employees, we need to create an integrated employee experience that has, as Brett mentioned, centralized access to key transactions and approvals. We need to make sure the experience is personalized and contextual and really puts the customized information that employees needs in the employee's hands. And we do so in a way that puts employees' needs, front and center. The second trend we'll be discussing today is the importance of IT and HR, collaborating to build a cohesive, effective digital workplace strategy. With that being said, I had the opportunity to sit down with Melanie Foley, the Executive Vice President and Chief Talent Officer for Liberty Mutual Insurance, to learn how Melanie, as a senior level HR professional, sees the partnership between HR and IT developing over the coming year at Liberty Mutual. Let's take a look.
Hi, Melanie. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me, Janine. I'm very excited to have this chat.
Great. I'm very excited to learn actually your perspectives on the importance of IT and HR collaborating together to build a cohesive and effective digital workplace strategy. I think it's very much like the old saying, it takes a village. Creating an effective digital work experience requires the input of various stakeholders across the organization. And it's not just IT and HR, it's other stakeholders, whether that's internal communications, facilities management, maybe finance. But I think the relationship between IT and HR is going to be one that needs to be very strong for companies to succeed as we see companies shift and invest more and more in the employee experience. And, it's actually not just about, bringing the right teams or stakeholders together. What we've seen or where we've seen companies be really successful is where there's actual formal dedicated ownership. So whether that's a team or an individual that can act as the glue that really binds together the separate parts of the employee experience. Could you share with us how you're seeing the partnership between HR and IT developing over the coming year as it relates to the employee experience?
Definitely. So just like you've said, and I've heard Brett talk like this before, it takes a village, and the knitting together of all of the disparate parts, if you will, is quite a task. And so I truly believe that formalizing ownership is important. And I also believe in looking at the employee experience very holistically. And I would just add to your list managers as well, right? If you think not just the employees, but the managers that really are delivering, a lot of the experiences that our employees have. We look at experiences, the day-to-day interactions that our employees have with the company. And we want to continue to improve on those experiences. And we want to do it in a holistic way. And we want to do it in a digital first way. It's becoming, obviously increasingly important that we provide digital experiences that our employees are used to having outside of work. So we've created a digital employee experience team that is part of our new employee experience organization. And these teams are able to understand what matters to our employees and then make sure that we can continue to build digital solutions that will meet the needs and provide an excellent experience for our employees. So having all these folks together allows the product owners to bring, disparate applications and systems together so that we can really deliver on an exceptional experience through a digital experience layer. WorkGrid is a critical part of our digital experience layer. The ability to allow our employees kind of one-stop shop for so many systems within our ecosystem has streamlined significantly their administrative tasks, giving employees more time to be more productive on other things.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing those insights. I think for organizations to get the employee experience right, it's gonna take a new way of thinking, and I think it's one that actually stems from the customer experience, right? And when we think about the products and services we buy, so much has changed where it's actually just as important, if not more important, in the experience they deliver. And this is what organizations will have to do to evolve their roles, moving away from that transactional mindset where teams like HR or IT who are used to rolling out and delivering tools and services, whether it's a payroll service or collaboration tool, and hoping employees would adopt them, to actually focusing now on what does that experience look like, and what does it look like across the different types of employees you have, right? So I think it's going to be really interesting dynamic for sure. Could you share with us your thoughts on how you've seen the HR's role changing to make this shift to deliver experiences?
Yes, I love how you refer to this is like how we focused on customer experience for so many decades. You're absolutely right. HR has to think about our employee experience in a similar fashion and think about the life cycle of an employee. And we, instead of saying employee journeys, we talk about moments that matter. And we've done research and been able to articulate or pinpoint what are those moments that really matter to drive the employee experience and therefore the greater engagement, which will lead to better customer satisfaction. So they're very much linked. HR needs to be thinking about not only making it easier for our employees, but being innovative and providing solutions that make their jobs easier. And so partnering with the IT organization in a way that we're just like joined at the hip gives us the agility and speed to modify as we see gaps in the experience that we're delivering to our employees, or the ability to identify what we need to do to improve the employee experience and prioritize and act quickly. And it is a holistic experience, right? You think about just the moment that matters about growth and development, right? And to an employee, that means it's clear what my expectations are. It's clear what my objectives are. I understand how my performance will be evaluated. I understand, how I'll get my feedback and how that will affect my compensation. Those are very different systems. Where a manager or employee has to go in over here, over here, over here, over here. Working with my IT partners, we've been able to come up with a one-stop shop where the employee and the manager can conduct all of that business just by going in through a card on our WorkGrid landing page. And that's just one example.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that example, and so very true and important. Thank you again for sharing all your perspectives with me today.
Oh, my pleasure. We talked for hours.
It's a great clip from Melody. And what I think was key here was the fact that Liberty Mutual has set up formal ownership, and Melody talked about that. She mentioned that there's a team of product owners who can focus on understanding what matters to employees, those moments that matter, and building out new digital experiences to meet employees' needs in a holistic manner. And so the next trend that we're going to be looking at is, there's a lot of changes that we do with and without technology, but Technology is changing at a rapid pace. So what are those modern technology that we need to be thinking about so that we can drive the execution of our digital workplace strategies? And how will we use modern technology to accelerate what we want to achieve this year and beyond? So I had the pleasure of meeting with Jillian McCann, WorkGrid's Chief Technology Officer.
Hey, Jillian.
Hi, Janine.
Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to meet with you and talk about the different types of modern technology that will be necessary to drive an effective digital workplace strategy in 2021 and beyond.
Yes, the workplace has changed more in the past year than it has in the last 10 years. There's certainly going to be a lot of work for organizations to keep up with the pace of change we're seeing in the digital workplace.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's safe to say that, what got us here won't get us to where we need to be as the very nature of work has changed. Could you share with us the modern tools and approaches you think organizations will need to adopt?
Yes, to begin with, citizen development and no-code app development are going to be a huge driving force in 2021. Today, every company is a software company and needs more applications than ever to improve operational efficiency, to drive innovation and generate revenue. Unfortunately, as you know, there is a shortage of skilled developers. Citizen development enables organizations to empower their non-technical employees, citizen developers as such, to build applications and experiences which will help quickly scale app development at the pace that is needed. This ability is going to be critical because companies are under pressure more than ever to increase that operational efficiency and to be more agile and build more experiences faster to meet the business needs. Through the use of no-code app development, organizations can create experiences that align to their unique needs, such as building modern user interfaces, automating repetitive tasks, delivering notifications and reminders, and even streamlining things like approval processes, all in a fraction of the time and effort it would take to build something from scratch.
Yeah, I must say, I'm personally really excited about the advancements of no code to enable organizations to better the digital work experience. As a marketer, no code and low code tools have been key to my success and marketers all over the globe in building customer experiences. So happy to see this trend, finally making its way over to the employee experience market as well. Now, at WorkGrid, we are actually working as well on enabling our customers to, with more no-code offerings to build experiences. Could you share some of those details on what's coming and what's going to be in store?
Yes, I'm super excited about the work that we're doing. What we're working on at WorkGrid is actually the ability to offer organizations the ability to build no-code experiences, including micro apps, chatbot, and smart notifications, and actually integrating these directly into their digital workplace. This changes the game for our offering because what we have seen with the large enterprises is that they often love our out-of-the-box apps, but their own businesses are unique and it's likely that they have customized their back-end systems, whether that be Workday, ADP, or ServiceNow. So by offering a no-code app builder, our customers can design the front end with the fields and nuances that matter to the unique needs of their employees and business.
Wow, that sounds really powerful. I'm excited to see it released later this year. What other trends do you see?
Automation. Automation should also play a critical role in the modern digital workplace, which makes sense because it's automation. Who doesn't want to throw everything they possibly can into that set and forget mode, right? I mean, in all seriousness, it just makes good basic business sense. The more routine processes and procedures we can make happen automatically without human intervention, the more time and frustration we can all save to spend on more strategic work. I mean, a good example of automation is really like onboarding. It's a time-consuming procedure to administer with dozens of steps and tasks, many of which are paper-based that someone in HR has to manually arrange. They also have to coordinate across lots of other departments that are involved in the organization, like finance, IT, security, and many more. Now, of course, there's always going to be a certain level of efficiency that we can gain from doing a process over and over again in the course of time. But even that is very limited because processes like onboarding aren't the same for every single employee. They differ slightly, or maybe even a lot, based on factors like geography or role. But imagine if you could automate that entire process and make it personalized for every single employee. How much more efficiently would things run and how much better of an experience could you deliver if you could give your employees a tailored experience using customizable workflows that delivered personalized tasks based on attributes like persona, business unit, location, job level, and many more? But better yet, What if those tasks can be delivered sequentially at predetermined points throughout the entire journey of a process? So a procedure like on or offboarding that usually takes weeks or even months to complete can take place smoothly and in the appropriate time frame without the risk of steps being missed along the way. These are the kind of efficiencies smart organizations will be working on to implement in their digital workplace in the coming year.
Wow, thanks, Julian. Yeah, I think some of the automation around workflows is going to be really a game changer for companies, and that's what employees expect. And what about artificial intelligence? I think it's kind of hard to talk about modern technology without also talking about AI.
Yeah, there's definitely a number of ways which AI is going to impact the digital workplace. So it's important to start thinking about them and taking action now in order to capitalize on the big benefits AI can deliver. For one thing, AI will facilitate human productivity. The true value in the workplace is that it will start taking on high volume, low value work that distracts us all from the strategic thinking that only we as humans can do. It's going to augment our roles, handling all of those routine administrative work like submitting service desk tickets, booking meeting rooms and travel, and things like that that distract us from the meaningful work that we're actually hired to do. Part of how this is going to happen is through chatbots are going to become more like personal assistants within the organization. It's a natural progression of AI in the workplace, with employees relying on AI-powered chatbots to help them find information and to alert them to tasks that need to be completed and make proactive recommendations on things like training courses, which will free up their time and energy for the tasks that truly drive that business value. The importance of all this is driven by the fact that the digital workplace is going to be the only workplace for many employees for the foreseeable future, possibly some for forever. Making sure that experiences our employees have in that digital workplace are as intelligent and seamless and friction-free as possible falls to us. Modern technology is the keys to making all this happen.
Wow, yeah, I agree, Jillian. Thank you so much for sharing all those insights today with us and some of the highlights regarding what modern technology you think we'll see in 2021 and beyond.
Thanks, Jane. Thanks for having me here today to talk through those issues with you.
So there we have it, the 3 trends, and of course, not the only trends, right, that are going to shape the digital workplace in 2021, focusing on productivity and wellness to drive the employee experience, ensuring the relationship between IT and HR is stronger than ever this year, and the modern technologies needed to accelerate growth, including no code development, automation, and artificial intelligence. I appreciate everyone's time today in joining our webinar, and I hope you truly learned something and took something away from the content we shared today. Please do reach out with any questions, or if you're interested in learning more about WorkGrid, you can reach us at workgrid.com, and thanks again.